Today we're learning how to easily sew a Quest tunic.
So we take a flat sheet and fold it in half with the right sides together, and the bottom of the tunic are these two pieces, so they're already finished edges. Now I'm going to take one side and fold it up to the 20-inch mark. The average is 18.5 to 21 inches for an average size youth and adult. This is for my 16-year-old son, so I'm going to go to the 20-inch mark. Okay, now I'm going to measure the sleeve. So I start at the top of the fold, and I'm going to mark with a pin, or you can just use a pencil and draw right on the fabric at 11 inches. The average is 10 to 12. Again, this is for my 16-year-old son, and that 11-inch mark is good for him. Okay, now I'm going to mark the bottom hem where I'm going to cut. It's between 14 and 15 inches. I'm going to give him a little more leg room and give it 15. So I'm going to put my pin there at 15. You again can mark this with a pencil or fabric marking pens or just a pin. All right, I'm going to take one more measurement. This is for the body. We wrote down an average of 12 to 13 inches in the body section. This is an easy measurement to do if you have the person. You can measure around the widest part of the person, whether it be the hips or the chest area, and get that number. So for my son, it was 37. Then I divide by 4, which was 9.25. And then I'm going to add 3 to 4 inches. So I'm going to measure him at 13 right here for the body measurement. So I'm going to mark that last measurement, and I'm marking it just right next to the sleeve measurement, 13. This is our last marking measurement. Is the shape we're going for when we cut. Right now I've marked point 1, point 2, point 3, and I am going to just mark with pins along my cut line. It does not have to be exact, and it does not have to be good. So I am just going to put just a few pins in as guidelines. You don't even have to do this part, but I might, just so I have to go clear into here. So it's going to be slightly out and just a little bevel in. So I'm going to put one more in to help guide me when I cut. I'm going to just do the cut part now. So I moved that first pin, and I'm just doing this by eyeball. You could draw a line on it with a pen if you like, but it's not necessary. Again, it does not have to be exact or good. And I'm just eyeballing. I'm cutting through 4 pieces of fabric here. Moving the pins as I go. Almost to the top of the body where it turns into the sleeve. So I'm going to start to bevel that just a little bit. For the armpit area. And then we just go straight out to the sleeve. Now at the edge of the sleeve, this one sleeve already has a finished edge right here because it's the edge of the sheet. So we can just cut exactly parallel to it and have this be a frayed sleeve and one finished sleeve. I will probably just turn that under and do one quick hemline under the sleeve. So I'm going to give me about a half an inch or third of an inch hem depth when I cut, just on that unfinished side, so that one sleeve isn't just a little bit longer than the other. It really doesn't matter that much, and if they're both frayed, that's okay. If it's not going to matter. So this is our tunic. we do need to cut a neck hole. So at the 4.5 to 5 inch mark, I'll just put a pin here from this fold. Again, 4 pieces are folded together, and we want to go about 2 inches down from the top. So I'll mark both of those, and then this is just a freehand cut. It does not, again, have to be exact, but I'm going to go just a neck measurement like that. These neck holes can be left without being hemmed. You could zigzag with the sewing machine. So now this is the only part that requires a little bit of sewing. I will separate out 2 pieces, and on my sewing machine, still right sides together, so I'm sewing on the wrong sides through 2 pieces. Hem, or not hem, but sew. Straight stitch all the way up to there. And then I will take this other piece and do the same thing with these 2 pieces of fabric together. Right sides together, I'm sewing on the 2 wrong sides. So there. So you have 2 lines. If you want to get fancy, like I said, you can roll in, once you've sewn that together, this one sleeve that doesn't have the finished edge, like that, 1/4 inch or 1/3 inch, and sew all the way around to finish the edge to match the other, but it does not matter if it's not done. I could use coordinating thread. I could do a navy or a royal blue, but I'm actually just going to use white because it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to hem the side just to the straight stitch, then all the way up the side, just 2 pieces together. This becomes the edge of the garment, the tunic. And I'll follow this all the way up underneath the arm. Stitch it together, and that's all there is. You've got all this extra fabric, so you can cut from this extra sheet down the length and make a sash. And if you do 2 different colors of sheets, because you're doing 2 different tunics, you can make coordinating sashes. So you just cut the fabric, and then now I've got, you can either use the same color, which is also darling, or a coordinating sash. This is the gray from the other tunic. So you can do sashes, you can cut another strip for maybe a headband, if they want a headband, or any other accessories. I do want to point out that that 4.5 inch neck cut is quite wide. So if you have a small girl or boy, you will want to cut that, when you cut that little neck hole, a little shorter, like 3.5 to 4 inches, because that 4.5 is quite wide. So you might want to try that on and adjust as needed. We want the length of the tunic to be about mid-calf. So if the individual is fairly short and it's much longer, you should probably trim the bottom and either hem it or it can be left to fray. Totally optional is hemming the sleeve. All I've done is taking that loose end. I'm not even pinning it. I'm just folding it once, doing another tiny fold, and then sewing it on the inside. There were a couple of optional things that you can do. I mentioned one was I just hemmed the sleeve, that one side. This was already the factory hem from the sheet. I did zigzag around the neck, but you could just, or you could serge it or leave it frayed. And then on those inside 2 seams, I did also put a zigzag down along, or you could serge it or leave it out. This one we got really fancy, and we had a tan and a brown. So we took a little bit of the brown and put it up on the collar, so it had kind of a top neck.